Hey everyone, welcome back. Sorry about the delay between uploads. I've been having trouble with my video editor and it's still not completely resolved, but I'm going to be trying my best to finish editing these things and getting them out. Anyway, last time I showed you how to make a basic Golden Venture unit and the doll base. If you haven't seen the video yet or need a refresher, I'll leave a link in the description box below. But in today's video, I'm going to show you how to make the rest of Moana's torso from her legs up to her shoulders. Moana's legs make up the second and third layers of the doll pattern shown here with the blue bracket. Recall from the previous video that each layer of the torso is 16 pieces and each sheet of paper yields 32 pieces total, or 2 whole layers of the torso. Since Moana's legs are 2 layers tall, we're going to use 1 whole sheet and tear it into the 32 pieces we need. Again, this is the pattern you want to use when you tear the sheet. As in the previous video, I recommend tearing the paper in half hot dog style first and then following that up with 4 rounds of hamburger style tearing. So here I've torn out 32 pieces and I'm going to fold each one in half hot dog style. These are going to be Moana's legs, so they're going to be the same color as her feet, which we used when we made the doll base. Again, if you have tan paper, then you don't have to worry about coloring the pieces, and if you're like me, then you do have to color them. And then you're going to fold each of these 32 pieces into a basic Golden Venture unit. And if you need a refresher on how to do that, you can go and rewatch part 1, or you can stick around and watch me demonstrate here. When you stack your pieces, you want the layers to be staggered like a bricklaying pattern. So add your first piece between these 2 peaks like this. And then go ahead and add the rest of the pieces you have for the second row. Once you've added all 16 pieces for this row, it's time to invert the doll base. Have your base with the wrong side facing up, and then gently press down on the center with your thumb so that the pieces stand upright and the brown sides are facing out. By the way, you don't want to try this before your doll base is completely dry because it'll tear. Learn that the hard way. And even once it's dry, you do want to do this step very slowly and gently. Here I've taken a piece out of the new row that I just added, and I'm adding a dab of glue in each pocket. You want to glue the pieces down so that your doll doesn't fall apart. With the staggered brick wall type of pattern we use to stack the pieces, you really only need to glue down every other piece in each row. That is, you glue one piece, then skip the one next to it, and then glue the next one over, then skip the one after that, and so on until you've come back around to where you started. But you can also glue every single piece for extra stability. Once you've glued all the row 2 pieces you wanted to glue, you can go ahead and stack on the 16 pieces for row 3. Just like before, we're staggering them so your pockets should be lining up with peaks from 2 different pieces. So stack them all on, glue them in, and then I'll show you how to make the skirt. The first layer of the skirt is fairly simple. If you have beige paper, then go ahead and use that. If not, then find a crayon or colored pencil that matches Moana's skirt and color your pieces. Here I have half a sheet of paper torn into 16 pieces and folded hot dog style ready to color. I'm using an orange colored pencil and just very lightly shading in this region to match the color of Moana's grass skirt. Once you're done coloring your pieces, just fold them and stack them on like we did for the legs. And don't forget to glue them on once you've stacked them. Every piece on this layer or every other piece either works. This video is already running pretty long, so I won't show you the gluing steps, but from here on out, assume I'm gluing them, and remember that you do need to glue the pieces for each layer. This next layer of Moana's skirt is also beige, but it has this brown zigzag pattern. And the disadvantage to doing this kind of origami is that it doesn't allow for much in the way of details, since you're usually just working with blobs of color. But what you can do is draw patterns on your pieces that will show up in the finished product, so we're going to do things a little differently for this layer. So, I have my 16 pieces ready to color, and I've already taken one and folded it. Now I'm going to unfold it so that we can see all the creases on it. And this will give us some guidelines so we know where to draw the pattern. To actually draw the pattern, take a brown colored pencil or marker and draw an upside down V. Then draw 2 diagonal lines on each side parallel to the V. And then take whatever you were using to make that skirt beige and fill in the background. Obviously, if you were using beige paper to begin with, then you can skip this step. And then refold your piece and stack it onto your doll. Once you're done with that, do the same thing with the rest of your pieces, and then glue them, and I'll see you for the next layer. Moving right along. Like the last one, this layer of the skirt is also patterned. This time it looks like a row of big yellow flowers, which we're going to be drawing onto our pieces. I experimented with some designs and decided to space them out so that each flower is 2 pieces wide, as shown here in the pattern. I have my 16 pieces ready to color, and I've split them in half, 8 on the left and 8 on the right. Now I'm going to take a piece from the left pile, and I'm going to fold and unfold it so that I have my creases as guidelines. And then I'm taking a yellow marker and drawing 3 petals on it, 2 teardrop shapes on the left, and a dot on the right. Keep in mind that we want to stay close to the bottom half or even bottom 1/3 of the paper. Otherwise, your flowers are just going to be covered up by the next layer of pieces we add on top. While we set the piece aside to dry, I've taken a piece from the pile on the right and folded and unfolded it. For this side, we're going to draw the petals as a mirror image of the ones on the left. So draw 2 teardrops on the right of the midline and a dot to its left. Once your marker has dried, fill in the background with whatever crayon or pencil you were using to color your pieces beige. And then fold your pieces and stack them on side by side so that you have a complete flower. And do the same thing for the other 14 pieces so that you get 8 flowers total. Stack them on and don't forget to glue. The final layer of the skirt is unpatterned, so there won't be any fancy drawing involved. If you have beige paper, then go ahead and just fold 16 pieces and stack them on, glue them, and then you're done. If you're coloring your pieces like me, you'll need to keep in mind that since this is the last layer of the skirt, the next one we're doing is her midriff. That means that more of this layer is going to be visible, so we'll have to color a larger area on our pieces. Oh, and don't worry about the red sash around her waist. We're going to deal with that once we finish the doll and move on to accessorizing. So yeah, we're going to be coloring the same rectangle as before, but now we're going to make it slightly taller, and we're going to color these 2 areas on the sides because they'll be visible too. So color your pieces, and then fold and glue them all on, and we'll move on to the next phase. Sorry, by the way, for the crappy lighting in this video. My window faces west, and it's late afternoon as I film this, so there's just this sunbeam of doom making its way across my desk. Now that we're done with her skirt, we're going to move on to the midriff. Obviously, this is going to be the same color as her feet and legs, And for me, that's my brown colored pencil and apricot crayon. For you, that might be tan paper or some combination of crayon and colored pencils. Anyway, the midriff is 2 layers, so that's 32 pieces or an entire sheet of paper. So I've torn out my 32 pieces and I'm going to fold and unfold each of them to get my creases. As you can see on Mini Me in the background, the midriff is different from the rest of the torso because it's concave. That means we're going to be coloring only these 2 rectangular areas down here, since they're the only parts that will be visible from the outside. So color your pieces and then fold them again and stack them on. Be sure to turn them around so that only the brown side is facing out. And then do that with your other 31 pieces and be sure to glue both layers. This next layer technically isn't part of either Moana's midriff or her top. It's number 9.5 and shaded in gray on the doll pattern here because it's only there for structural purposes and won't be visible from the outside. You'll stack it on the same way as you did the pieces for the midriff, but it's important to note that since this layer supports the doll structurally, you definitely want to glue all 16 pieces, not just every other one. Since this layer won't be visible, you can make it whatever color you want. I'm just using salmon because it's the same color as the layer we're going to be adding after this one. And I've gone ahead and torn out 16 pieces ahead of time, so I'm going to fold them and stack them all on and glue them all. This row is the first layer of Moana's top. Since I have reddish, salmonish paper, I'm going to use that. If you need to color your pieces, follow this pattern here. I recommend using some combination of red, orange, and pink colored pencil. Also notice that when we stack this layer, we are not going to be staggering them in the normal brick wall pattern. Instead, we're adding them directly on top of the pieces from row 9.5. This is because row 9.5 is invisible, so it'll look like the pieces from row 10 are staggered over row 9. So here are my 16 salmon pieces, and I've got them all folded and ready to go. And like I said a few seconds ago, instead of staggering them over row 9.5, we're going to stick them directly on top. See how it looks like this piece is between the 2 brown pieces from the midriff? Notice also that this region of the doll is convex, not concave, so we're back to sticking them on outside out like we did for the skirt and legs. So now go around and add the other pieces for the row and then glue them in. As you can see here, Moana's top has 3 layers and the middle layer is patterned, and it's a bit too intricate to replicate fully, so I settled for this sort of a pattern. To make the darker parts, I'm going to be coloring over my salmon paper with red and orange colored pencil, and if you're coloring white paper, salmon, try adding a brown or purple to make that darker pattern. I have my 16 salmon pieces, and I've taken one and folded and unfolded it to get my creases. Now I'm going to follow the V and color only below it. Once you have the color you want, fold your piece and stack it on. Remember to stagger over the previous row. And then color and stack the rest of your pieces and glue them in. Moving on, here is the third and final layer of Moana's top. This layer is fairly simple and straightforward except for the little strip of white which I'm going to be drawing onto my pieces. Once again, 16 pieces ready to color. And I'm just going to use a white colored pencil to draw a line along the bottom, right next to the fold. If it's not showing up for you, you can use white out, and if you're coloring your white paper salmon, you can just not color that part. I don't know, cover the bottom of your piece with a sheet of scratch paper or some tape, whatever works for you. Anyhow, fold your piece, then stack it on, and repeat for the other 15 and glue them on. long last, the final layer of the torso, and that would be Moana's shoulders. We're going to be coloring the pieces the same brown color as her midriff and legs, but this row is going to be almost entirely visible because the next one is the neck, so we're going to need to cover a whole lot more surface area. I've already colored this piece ahead of time so you won't be bored watching me, but you basically want to cover all these areas as a bare minimum because they will all be visible. Notice that I'm keeping this area, this strip along the top of the piece, blank. This is important because it's where we're going to be attaching the neck of the doll. And if you're coloring all the way to the top and you're using something wax-based like crayon or certain types of colored pencils, the wax is going to chip and take the glue off with it and your doll's head will fall off. So avoid these areas. Anyhow, color your 16 pieces and then glue them in and make sure you're gluing every single piece. And you should wind up with a torso that looks like this. Once again, I'd like to give a shout out to my friend Rudy. She has a gaming channel where she plays a variety of games from Undertale to weird Disney knockoff Flash games. You should check her out, give her a sub. Link is up here and also in the description. If you liked what you saw here, hit the thumbs up. If you have any suggestions for improving my tutorials, drop me a comment. Thanks for watching. Next up we're making Moana's head, so I'll see you guys in part 3.